Hi, what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to create your drawer sign using shaving cream and food coloring. So the first thing that you need to do is you have your piece of paper. Now remember that this goes on your drawer in this landscape orientation. Okay, so don't try to make your design this way because it won't fit on the drawer. Step one, you're going to take your piece of paper, you're going to take a pencil, and you're going to write your first and last name on one side of the paper. Okay, it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You're just writing your name on the piece of paper so that when you put it on the drying rack, you know that that's yours and no one else takes it. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side. The next thing that I need to do is get my space set up. It's really important to set your space up at the beginning. That way I'm not running back and forth across the classroom as I'm in the middle of my project trying to get the things that I forgot to have. So I'm going to take newspaper and I'm going to put newspaper all over my whole spot. Not just a little bit, but all over the whole thing. Because that way at the end I can just crumple up the newspaper and throw it away and I don't have to spend a few minutes scrubbing my table down and drying it and getting it all clean again. I can just fold the newspaper up. So put newspaper all over the whole thing. So that's protecting my table. Now, it's also important to protect yourself. I have aprons if you're wearing light colored clothing or clothing that you're worried about. Grab an apron, put an apron on that will protect your clothing from shaving cream and food coloring. We're going to be using this food coloring, which does stain. If you get this on your clothes, there's a very good chance it's not going to come out. Okay, so protect your clothing with an apron. What I need for this project is I'm going to come over to this play table and I'm going to get a piece of aluminum foil. Okay, so I have that. I also need a marker, just a regular marker, any color, doesn't matter. You can get that out of the center console at your table group. Okay, so I'm going to have that. I also want a paper towel. This gets messy and it's nice to have a paper towel to the side that I can wipe my hands and any other areas that get messy during the project. Okay, I'm going to need a palette knife. So I'm going to put that to the side. I get one of my own of these. I also need a toothpick. I'm going to use this to stir up my food coloring and shaving cream. So I'm going to put that to the side. Now, we talked about sharing an art. Not everyone is going to have their own supplies all the time, and this is one of those projects. I don't have enough shaving cream for all of you guys to have your own bottle. I don't have enough food coloring for all of you guys to have your own container. So your table groups will have to share one box of food coloring per table group and a couple cans of food coloring per table group. Or not food coloring, sorry, a couple cans of shaving cream per table group. Okay, so I'm going to have those at my spot ready to go. And again, making sure that you're sharing these things and keeping track of them. I am going to, now I have my spot all set up. I have all the supplies that I need. I have my apron on and I'm ready to go. I'm going to take my piece of paper, doesn't matter which side, and I'm going to lay it down on the aluminum foil. Then I'm going to take my marker and I am going to trace around. It doesn't have to be anything nice or neat. I am just tracing that shape of the paper. And I'm not touching my paper because I don't want to get a marker line along the edges of my paper. Okay, so I'll put my paper back to the side. And you can see that I have the rectangular shape of my paper on my aluminum foil so that I know how much shaving cream I need. And I also know how big my design can be so that it will fit on my paper. Okay, the next thing that I need to do is take my shaving cream. And with things like this at foam, you need to shake it up first. So I'm going to give it a good shake. If I don't shake it, what's going to happen is it's going to be runny. Now, if for some reason you do get a can that is runny, just trade it out and grab a different one. Okay, sometimes they're just runny. So I'm going to give it a good shake. Then I'm ready to squeeze it out and get my shaving cream onto my shape. Now, if you go like this and start squeezing and nothing happens, it's because these have a little cap on it. So pull the cap off, put that to the side where you have it and you can put it back on. Okay, make sure that this doesn't get stuck right in here where it's going to get stuck in that shaving cream and thrown away at the end. So put it off to the side. I'm going to take this and just squirt it out. It sounds a little bit different every time it comes out. I'm just going to squirt it on there. Notice I'm not filling my whole shape. So my shape actually comes out to here. My rectangle is this long, okay? I'm not filling the whole thing because I don't need 3 inches of shaving cream across the whole space. That's way too much. I need to save this. So I'm just putting some in there, then I'm going to use my fingers, just the tips. I'm not going to use my whole hands. I'm not going to make a big mess because I still have to work. So I'm going to take the tips of my fingers, and I'm just going to spread this out and cover that shape. Okay, it doesn't need to be very thick. I'm just filling that shape in with shaving cream. And it doesn't have to be perfect. If you get outside the lines, that's fine. Okay, this is just an area to help you see how big your piece of paper is. All right, so I'm smoothing that in. I want to make sure I don't have too many dimples. Smoothing it around. Okay, and then now I only have shaving cream, okay, on these 2 fingers. It's not everywhere. So all I have to do is just take my paper towel, just wipe up really quick. Okay, and that's why it's nice to have a paper towel handy, so I can just wipe up and be ready to move on to my next step. Now I have my shaving cream in this shape, in the shape of my piece of paper. It's nice and thin. Okay, I don't have too much on there because I don't want to waste it. So nice and thin sheet of shaving cream in a rectangular shape on my aluminum foil. The next thing that I need to do is decide, what pattern am I going to do? What do I want to have on my piece of paper? I could do designs, I could do shapes, I could do letters, okay, and that's what I have to think about. Now, what you do need to think about when you're doing a letter is, because it's a print, okay, so I'm taking something and laying it down, and when I flip it over, it's like a mirror, okay, which means if I were to put my letter the correct way on my shaving cream, it's going to be backwards on this, which means I need to put it backwards on my shaving cream so it's the correct way on my piece of paper. Now, some of us, it's kind of hard to think about what letters look like backwards in our heads. And so what I like to do is I'll just take the marker, and on my newspaper, I'll write down, okay, this is what a K looks like, and then I can flip it. And if you need help with that, you can't figure it out, then just ask, and I can help you flip it. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a W. The nice thing about a W is that it's one of those letters that's the same on both sides, so I don't have to think about doing it backwards. Some letters are like that, most aren't. Okay, so think about your letter. If you choose a letter, and you don't have to, do you need to do it backwards on your shaving cream? All right, the next thing that I'm going to do is figure out my colors. So I have, in this box of food coloring, I have blue, red, yellow, and green. So that means I have my primary colors, or the colors that all other colors are made from, and then I have one secondary color, green, in here. Now, what if I wanted to have orange? Well, I can mix it. Okay, I know that red and yellow make orange, so I can mix those together. I know that blue and red make purple, so I can mix those together. Okay, and then I already have green. So I can make other colors out of just these basic 3 colors that I have in the box. All right, I'm just going to do a blue, and that one's almost out, so I'm going to grab a different one. And if you have a box that's almost out, just come put it back and get a different box. So I'm going to do blue. All right, I have my blue food coloring and put this to the side. I don't need very much food coloring. I don't need to go crazy and drop it all over the place. So I'm just going to take a few drops, and I'm going to start doing the shape of my W. Drop there, there, down at the bottom, one in the middle, down at the bottom. You'll notice that it runs, and that's okay. You're going to be swirling this around. Okay, so I have my drops. Not that many drops. It's not like I went crazy with it. Now, if I wanted another color in there, I could add some more drops. Okay, that just depends on where I'm going with this. I'm just going to stick to blue. You can use whatever colors you want to. But again, don't go crazy with the food coloring. The more that you get, the more it tends to just make a mess and turn into like a gray or a brown or something not too nice. Okay. Now that I have my food coloring on here, I'm going to take my toothpick and I'm going to swirl it. And in swirling it, I am creating a marble design, and I'll hold it up and show it to you in just a minute. Okay, so I'm marbling it, and you can see the difference okay, in what it looks like. So I have that marble on there, and then you can see the ones where it's just the food coloring. Okay, so it's creating these swirls. Now, if I overdo it too much, okay, if I continue to swirl and swirl and swirl, I'm going to lose that nice marbled effect, and then I'm just going to have goop. So don't overdo it. I'm just going to finish my shape. Okay, swirling that around until I have my W in my shaving cream. Okay, the next thing that I need to do is I'm going to take my piece of paper, okay, and I'm going to make sure that the name is on the back. I don't want to put the name one down. So I'm going to have my blank sheet, and I'm just going to lay it on top, and I'm going to press down. I don't want this to stay on here too long because the shaving cream is moist and this paper is pretty thin, and so if I do it too much, then it's going to make my paper soggy. So I've just pressed it lightly down on there, and when I peel it off, I can see that the design has transferred onto my paper. The food coloring is now soaked into that paper. Mine doesn't have very much shaving cream sticking to it. Yours might. Okay, so if you pull it up and all you see is like these weird smears and you're just like, oh, it didn't work. It did. It's just hiding. It's hiding underneath the shaving cream. Okay, so you're just going to lay it down on your newspaper and take your palette knife using the long edge, and you're just going to scrape. Okay, scrape that shaving cream off. Get all the excess off. And if you had a lot of shaving cream, as you start to scrape, you're going to see that as the shaving cream is scraped off, that your design is just hiding underneath the surface of that shaving cream, and you'll have that nice design. Okay, so you'll see that I have my W on here. Now, one thing that you need to think about is this is just your background for your drawer sign. We're going to add to it. We're going to use markers and other color mediums to make it better. So don't be upset if it's not a perfect W or a perfect shape or it's not exactly what you had in your mind. Okay, art isn't about making it perfect right on the first step. It's taking something and adding to it and working with it until you get something that you're happy with. Okay, so don't be upset if it's not perfection right away. Okay, so I have this. It's a little bit damp. Okay, which means I don't want to just go shove it in my binder or anything like that. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on a drying rack so that it can dry, and then next time I'm going to be able to add to it. And that is also why my name is on the back, so that when I come to get this later, I'm not grabbing somebody else's art. I know that this is mine because it has my name on it. All right, so I have my drawer sign created, but now I have all of this. I can't just leave it, and I'm definitely not going to just shove it up over and leave it for somebody else. I need to clean up. Now, these palette knives are pretty easy. They are not disposable. They need to be cleaned and put back where you got them. So take it, you can rinse it in water and dry it off. You could just wipe it with a paper towel, get that residue off. Please make sure that these are dry. If they're not dry when you put them away, then they just make a mess in the bottom of the container. It molds, it gets gross. Okay, so dry it off. I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to wipe off the shaving cream container. I'm going to put the lid back on it, okay, so that it's nice and neat, and that will be returned where I got it. Okay, so I have my palette knife put back. That was clean because I wiped it off. I'm going to make sure that all of the lids are on the food coloring. And as soon as you get done dropping the food coloring on your shaving cream, the lid should be back on. Don't leave them with the lids off. So I have all my food coloring back in the box. I have all the lids back on, and I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to put it back. Okay, so I'm putting that back. I'm going to make sure my marker is back. Okay, and then I can take my toothpick, I can take my aluminum foil, my paper towel, and I can just scoop everything up, making sure that nothing is in here, nothing is mixed in, and I can go throw it in the garbage. Okay, that's pretty easy. It's pretty easy cleanup. Now, if I have some extra time, I could play in this a little. Okay, you could get your hands in it, work it around. Just have fun with it. A couple of rules for that though. If you are going to play in your shaving cream, okay, it doesn't go past about here. So it's just on your hands. It's not going on any other parts of your body. It's not going on your friend's body. You're not high-fiving or clapping your hands together, because any sort of thing like that with shaving cream on your hands is going to make an explosion. And because it has food coloring in it, it's messy, and anything it touches is going to be messy and stained. So contain it